World.
Hello, my name is Pastor Derek Lane, and I live and pastor here in the Othello community. I'm vaccinated because I know how illness can hurt a community. As a grandfather, I am boosted to help protect my 3.5-year-old granddaughter who can't be. I don't want to see members of my community die needlessly. And as a pastor, I've had funerals for those who caught COVID, but none from taking the vaccine. If you have questions, need resources, or want to make an appointment, visit kingcounty.gov/vaccine.
Join Rainier Avenue Radio from 5 to midnight for Sunday evening sound sessions. Jazz from the cabinets from Big Poppy.
That's right. It's time once again for Jazz from the Cabinets with Big Poppy.
Sergio LaCour's Love Lines.
It's Sergio's Love Lines with Sergio LaCour. Go to the phone line. Tell her who we talking to.
Sage Prince, Just My Opinion.
This is Sage, and that's just about going to do it for the first half of Just My Opinion.
K-Fox, Night Beat with Nasty Ness Rodriguez.
The beat of the Fox. K-Fox, Night Beat, Nasty Ness.
You know what? You're going to listen from 5 to midnight. Just turn it on and don't stop. DJ Alibaba. The Underground Surround Sound Star Time with Paul Pearson.
Thanks for tuning in. My name is Paul Pearson.
Sunday evening sound sessions on Rainier Avenue Radio. Trust me, you'll be listening the entire time from 5 to midnight. Sunday evening, your sound session on Rainier Avenue Radio.
Rainier Avenue Radio.world is your 24/7 digital media hub. Tune in at Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and TuneIn apps.
Well, hello there, world. Bettina Carey here, the CEO and founder of We Empower You, the community, and WeEmpowerYourLife.com. And we're here to shatter ceilings right down to the floor. And I have Rita Bacuzzi here with me today, and she's going to help us to do that. Just a little bit about Rita before we get started. Rita Bacuzzi is a financial intelligence expert, money coach, and speaker. And she's passionately committed to guiding successful entrepreneurs, business owners, and to achieve financial peace of mind, release any money confusion that they might have, and to create safety around their money so that they can reach their dreams. Rita is a proven professional who shares a life-changing approach to rapid transformation to flourish financially. Known as Mamma Rita Money, she's the CEO of Flourish, Inc. She leads Wine, Women, and Wealth, and It's No Secret to Be Wealthy workshops, and her signature money empowerment boot camps where mindset over money mastery meets money skills mastery in holistic approach. Welcome, Rita. It's so great to have you here today. You're muted.
There we go. The
There
famous
you are.
word. Hello, and I am super excited to be here today with you, Bettina, because it's all about empowering people
Yes.
to level up in the world so that this way we can all be better for ourselves and for others in how we show up.
Yes. And, before we get too far into some of my other questions, I want to know exactly why you do the work that you do. And I know you've been sharing this story in a 5-minute spotlight video. So start with that. Just a few minutes.
Absolutely. And, in a couple words, I felt like my life had been taking these 2 steps forward, 1 step forward and 2 steps back. And I wanted to redirect it so it could be 2 steps forwards. And that 1 step back might be a look back, just going, isn't this great? However, it hasn't been that way for me in life, or up until recently. And really, it started with exploring around money, which isn't a topic most people like to talk about. And I found out as a child, they don't appreciate when children ask these questions. And so it really was this big curiosity for me as I grew. I watched my parents really model, taking care of their finances pretty well. And they taught me one thing. That was to save, which is great advice. But then what, right? So we're in a different era now. So I listened. I set up my first retirement plan when I was 18, only to fast forward to about 2001 when I was 33 years old, to one day open up my statement and go, okay, where's my money? Because it was almost the same amount it was when I was 18. And I was furious. It was frustrating. And I thought, okay, well, I got to figure out better ways. So I started doing some real estate investing and bought my first property at 21. And at the year 2008, when now I was in my 40s, yet again, another 2 steps back. So I'm a persistent, pretty gal, and I just kept moving forward and figuring I'm going to figure this out and I'm going to learn. Unbeknownst to me, life, if we're not really planning our lives well, sometimes life plans for us. And I wasn't really taking care of my health. I was under high stress and I got hit with cancer. I got to survive it. I get to thrive through it. But it wasn't an easy time. It wasn't an easy time. And I realized that I was really worried about my finances more than focusing on my health. And I found out that that's what most people do. And I started having these really awful feelings of regret, shame, blame, because I had 2 boys. They were 13 and 17. How was I going to provide for them? Up until then, I was watching sunrises and sunsets in my corporate office so that I could have weekends and evenings with them. And I really wanted to have more than that. And I did realize that I could control one thing. As soon as I was starting to recover, I realized that I could still have a positive attitude about this, and I could see the future, and I could then take the action steps, whatever they were, to create that change. And that was the biggest epiphany, and that's been a life-changing journey, because it really wasn't just about me. I had always wanted to be a teacher, and I did a lot of research. I'm the research gal, vetting everything and figuring it out. And then this way, sharing it with other people, just like we share great movies. I love sharing great things with my friends and then watching everybody grow and flourish right where they're at.
And you made it fun. You made it fun.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Hence the Wine, Women, and Wealth, and we get everybody joining in on the party, which is pretty amazing.
That's really great. So I also know that you having faced cancer, and you often refer to this as, having financial cancer, the outcome of that, thankfully, has been beautiful. You've survived, you've thrived, you've really now not just changed your own financial picture, but you're helping to change the financial picture of many out there. So how do you reinforce the mindset strategies that you teach that help to build confidence so that folks can make better decisions and feel empowered about their money?
Well, what I love about what I do, it is really holistic. You hit the nail on the head. There is this mindset piece. And so learning for myself and learning common threads from multimillionaires and billionaires is the fact that, yes, mindset is a big part of money. You got to almost crack open that door to do a couple of things. The first is get aligned with your core values. If you are not aligned with these core values of your life, then you get taken off track and people direct you with their values, which aren't always the same. So this aspect gives a lot more clarity, and it also connects with your belief system. Mm-hmm. So as far as our beliefs, our thoughts, our actions, our habits, getting us to the results. And the thing is, people hear about this over and over again, and it's super simple, and it gets to be simple because that's where you get through the breakthrough of the stories. And money learning, financial intelligence expert is what, we said at the beginning that I was. And really financial intelligence, everybody has it, everybody. That's the first thing, to know you have a level of financial intelligence. But for some people, they just weren't educated. When we learn, that brings our confidence up. That brings vibrational levels, right? Because when we're joyous and energetic, you can feel my energy, right? But if I'm like, okay, I really don't know, and I'm just not clear. Do you see? You can feel that even as we're talking, not even in a room together. You can feel that. Well, it's the same with money. Money is a currency, and it's a high frequency currency. And it likes to be connected with things like joy, fun, flow, ease, so that we can do what we always were meant to do with it. Enjoy and love the resource it is. Love the things that it buys. Like when we say we love our homes and we love our purses or shoes for us girls, or the gadgets that the guys like, or whatever it is that speaks to your heart. We have our own, I call it financial DNA, our own imprint based on the values, the belief systems, and the breakthroughs, the aha moments of the learning lessons of the stories that hold us there.
Yes, and you like to say that it's no secret to be wealthy, right? So when you hang out with you, Rita, people are going to learn the habits and the mindset that actually will help them to also attract wealth into their life. And, I have an experience where I have this $1 million view, but I personally don't find it of value financially for me to own the property that I'm in. So instead I rent, and I choose to rent because the burden, in my mind around owning is way more than I want to be involved with. So I have other ways of investing and other ways of attracting wealth to my life, including in business. And so it isn't necessarily somebody else's path that you're trying to help people with. It's their path, and they might have different ideas. I travel a lot, even through COVID. As soon as I was able to safely travel, I started traveling again. And, I remember most of the month of January, I had spent away from having my place here in Seattle. And so it's like, well, I love to have both. I'm not going to give up my place to Seattle just because I'm gone 3/4 of the month in December. I'm going to take care of business in both ends of the equation. So I totally wanted you to get into some of the wealth preservation strategies that you talk about. And perhaps we can talk a little bit about a success story or two that you can bring to the conversation.
Sure, I would love to do that. And I love that I'm going to say you get to take a 50,000 foot view or higher, because the lower, the more myopic, right? You're not seeing the whole picture. And so we get to take this step back so that we can see clearly what it is that we want. And it's beautiful that you kind of identify it, because that's how you have financial freedom that people are looking at. And that's different for each one of us. So the number one thing is purpose. Really being clear on what's the purpose of your money and what's your relationship with your money. By the way, if you're in a relationship, you're spending time, right, with a person when you're in a relationship to get to know them, or whatever subject matter that you love. You're spending time in that relationship. So as you learn, that relationship grows confidently, it builds strength and a stronger bond that cannot be taken apart easily just because somebody sways you or says something that they're telling you should do.
Yeah.
We don't should do anything. You get to. And if it doesn't feel like a get to, then you get to start asking yourself questions. And this is where you get to not just physically protect yourself, but from the mindset, from the get-go. So that this way you can engage with principles, because it's mindset mastery to the money skills mastery. So we get to open up that door. The first one that I love. So, just like I shared, me and my family, we got financial cancer when I got cancer. What is financial cancer? Financial cancer is you're dipping into your reserves. You're depleting everything that you had. Maybe you're selling your home. For over 50% of Americans, it is filing bankruptcy. For over 48% of business owners, that's closing their doors. There are just so many stories like that, and it doesn't have to be. It's just like anything else. Once you know, you can't unlearn it, and you can grow from what you know. And it just is confident and fun, and it's so simplistic. And so the protection, really, when I learned about wealth, one of the things that wealthy people, common thread, is never lose your money. So Warren Buffett, principle number 1, never lose your money. Principle number 2, never lose your money. What does he mean by that? Because we lose money all over the place all the time. We see it. We're seeing it in our economy. Money seems to be flying from people. Well, what we want it to be is gravitating to you, and you get to learn that when you set things up right, protecting yourself, you will realize that it doesn't go away. So a perfect example. So for me, I gave the example of how money was flying away from us when we got cancer.
Yep.
I did change one thing. I learned. I kept learning and learning and learning, because at first I wanted to teach my boys. I taught them everything else, right? Good Italian mama, the cooking, the cleaning, how to embrace everybody as familia. When I was sick and I realized we were letting go of every resource we ever had, because sometimes money feels like security, protection, safety, to a point where I didn't feel safe anymore. I thought, I get to change this, and I'm going to change this for my boys. And in that journey of changing it for my boys, I'm like, okay, if I'm going to help them, just like I said, everybody is familia. So we get to change it for others. And I remember having a young gal, she was only 26, attending one of my It's No Secret to Be Wealthy workshops, also known as Money 101, because we get to break it down simple. One of my favorite comments is that people say, oh my gosh, I really only felt like I had a third grade learning of financial intelligence, and you broke it down in such a way that I felt like I got elevated immediately. It's so easy to learn, and it's so much fun, as it should be. So this gal attended, and she met with me after, like I said, only 26. She set up some instruments. So there's different products and instruments, and everybody has an opinion about them. But you get to explore. That's the first thing. You get to explore. You engage by learning, and then you embrace what's right for you, not for others. So that's most important. And then once you do learn, you have to take action, right? Knowledge is power only when acted upon. Only when acted upon. So in this learning, she decided to take action. She set up what we structure is called a tax-free index account. And there are multiple types depending on what you need. She then also learned about something called living benefits plans. And those are plans that help you to survive, like when you're, and thrive when a major life health event happens like mine, cancer. Because I missed the boat. Somebody told me about it, but didn't teach me. And so I was doing my research and I thought, oh, I'll implement it in January. Well, I got sick in November.
Wow.
2 months.
So close and yet so far, right?
Right. That's that one step forward. I learned something. Oh boy, when I got hit with cancer, it didn't feel like just 2 steps backward. It felt like a whole 20 years backwards. So she did a year into the future from our meeting and her setting and taking action. I get this text and she's like, Mamma Rita, I need you. I need your help. And it's serious. Okay, I don't usually get texts like that from my 27-year-old clients. I usually get texts, or not even texts, because the elder population, it's a phone call. A phone call saying that. And when she told me that at 27, she was diagnosed with cancer, I was devastated. Because for me, every one of my clients, every one of us, I feel like we're family. And I got to treat you like family. Because I think that we get to love on one another. And that's where Mamma Rita came from, mostly because my clients call me that. And even some family members now because of that, just because it's fun to say. And I want people to have fun. So the beautiful thing is, as she knew she was going to get treatment, she was able to access a really large sum of money in comparison to the small amounts of money that she was paying monthly. And that got deposited into her account just prior to having me go through treatments. And I remember the following text. She was like, wow, I really feel safe. I really feel like everything is possible. And I know I'm going to heal better. And we know that when we have a mindset that we're going to heal better or do better, we will. And she did. And that was beautiful. That was that one flipping of the switch. The one other cool thing that I got to share with her was that it was tax-free money, that Uncle Sam wasn't even going to be able to touch it, which made her cry and made me cry too, because seeing the beauty to change somebody else's life and have that opportunity, doing it just once is amazing. Being there for people 2, 3, 4, 5 times, I don't know how I cannot be impassioned to love the life that I lead to serve and help others to create that change around their money. And that's just for life health events.
Yeah, so that's a couple of the instruments, right, that you can deploy.
Yeah.
And one of the comments that you made when we were setting up for this appointment here today was that you said that there's, even if people have had a life event, there's a time in between afterwards where they can also qualify for similar instruments even after having survived cancer. And that to me was a big wake-up call, because I just thought, oh, well, if you've had a major life event, then for the rest of your life, you have no access to life insurance. You have no access to these other instruments. So I think that's a really good point to make here.
Yes, it is. You know, these, like I said, these types of accounts, sometimes they're not the sexy ones, but what we get to look at is, just like our cell phones evolve every 6 months, financial instruments do too. So, you know, the old instruments of life insurance being death insurance in the past does not exist, at least in my world. You know, if someone's doing right by you, they're going to give you what's newest. And I always say the divine is in the details. That's why you get to be in a relationship, because you start to learn what questions to ask. And then you can create what I teach is called a financial positioning criteria. That is your checkoff system criteria for somebody is meeting your needs or not. You know, if you're a person that likes things at risk, I'm not your gal. I like sleeping at night, and I like my clients sleeping at night. But if you want safety and security, and you want to know that your money is growing, and you want to know that your money is going to be there when you need it, then I'm your gal. Whatever the instrument, you get to look at the details of it, whether it's life insurance, whether it's an IRA, whether you want to roll over your 401k into something that you have more control over so you don't experience loss. There's so many possibilities. And to your point of me having been sick, that was my mission, because I remember, I'm going to say I kissed a lot of frogs of financial companies. And I've really gone the gamut. I've done, over 12 years of researching companies, researching wealth builders and how they teach, and then combining everything so that people can learn about it in less than 24 hours versus 12 years, and also spare the cost, right? Because that's the biggest thing. Again, you're putting money out there, and sometimes it feels like you're putting good money after bad. Well, we get to stop all that. We get to be led in a way where there's that to the path that's open, that's your open path, so you don't have to hit, I'm going to say, any landmines while trying to get across to your goal. And that's the whole point, is where do you want to go, and how do we create that space?
Yeah.
And so that people who have experienced life events, you get to earn back that money. That's what I did. So then what, if one instrument's off the table, what's my next best? And what is the details when we compare? I think the biggest miss for people is that they don't compare companies. And people say the devil's in the details. I say the divine is in the details, because it's all about enlightenment and empowerment to getting you to that elevated, I love all my E words, you can, to that next state, so that you can celebrate excited, like how I am. I'm always excited to be talking about money. It's fun. It's great, because possibilities. That's what it's all about.
So now you briefly touched on living life benefits with this young gal.
Yes.
There's also some passive income streams that are tax-free that you mentioned. Can you go just a little bit deeper into each of those before we move on?
So wealthy people look at the asset class of life insurances. So they're looking at it in a particular structure. So if your insurance agent or financial advisor or financial consultant doesn't look at it in that same way, they may not be creating it. They may not even know that they can create it to customize fitting what you need, right? Just to give a quick example, life insurances today, the new ones, yes, there's this death benefit. And for wealthy people who want to protect this big estate, their family members, from having to do what we see, wealthy people and stars, liquidate their assets because their family members cannot afford it. That's one aspect. Then there's the living benefit structure, so that you can cover your expenses when you need them, like I described. And then there's this tax-free portion. And if you focus on that, you do the really modest amount of life insurance, you're creating a legal tax shelter for legal tax avoidance, not tax evasion. No, no, no. No tax evasion,
Big
right?
difference. No tax
No,
evasion.
no, no. So we're not
So
going to
it
do that.
sounds a little bit sexier than the traditional life insurance that, most of us have learned about, and opening up ourselves to this this type of structure can open up the doors to wealth, and also to I feel for myself a sense of security, a sense of like I'm safe, as it were, and my family is safe, even better yet, right? So, and instead of thinking of it as in the old time frame, it's about around the death. However, that said, it's still a conversation around death. So let's talk a little bit about that. How do you?
It is, and that's a challenge for people and their mortality. But if we can focus on, hey, in the U.S., we all are cousins. We all have the same uncle. I don't know. He's not my favorite uncle. Don't get me wrong. I love our country, but I don't want to give my not so favorite uncle more money than is his fair share. So if you take away that perspective and we do what wealthy people do and look at the asset class of, hey, I'm not paying more than my fair share. I'll pay my fair share, but that's it. So, and the other part is, well, some people are out there saying, well, I can't qualify for life insurance. I said, that's okay. There are things called Roth IRAs. Those are another tax-free financial instrument. There are others as well, and that gets a little bit more detailed, and so it becomes very personal. Like I said, I kissed about several frogs before I learned in 7 years of my research and all these companies to finally get aligned, right? I got aligned with my values to align with companies that had those same core values so that we could provide to people what they needed to do, what we call create SWAN plans, sleep well at night, for you and for me. And you don't have to do all your portfolio, because a lot of times people think they need one financial advisor and they can hold their portfolio in just one. Well, no, jack of all trades, master of none. Go to something that's specialized on the safe side if that's the area you need to look at.
Sure. Well, we're out of time, but I wanted to mention your website, financialresetting.com. That way, folks can get a look at your website, and Daniel can pop that up there real quick. It's been wonderful to have you here today. We'll have to have you back with Mia Tepper, your partner.
Yes.
And you're watching Rainier Avenue Radio. This is a show that's produced every single week at 1:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. The next show that's up is Women's Empowerment Radio, episode 45. Thank you so much, Rita, for joining us here today. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
Blessings all.